Let me ask about your friend, your colleague, Alan Dershowitz, and I'll also ask about your review of his most recent book. But before then, it'd be interesting to ask what you think of him as a human being, as a lawyer. He's a quite an interesting case. He's represented some of the most controversial figures in history,
including Jeffrey Epstein.
Mike Tyson, Julian Assange, Jim Baker, and Jeffrey Epstein, and even Donald Trump. So he's an interesting figure. What do you think about that?
Klaus von Bülow.
What do you think? What do you think about him as a human being, as a lawyer, what he represents in terms of values and ideals?
Well, he's a criminal defense lawyer. And the job of a criminal defense lawyer is to represent accused criminals. He is a lifelong Democrat. He didn't represent Trump because he agrees with him politically.
Voted for Hillary, I believe you wrote.
He voted for Hillary. Yes, that's what he says, and I absolutely believe it. He's a liberal Democrat, but he's a criminal defense lawyer as well as a professor, and I've represented some very nasty people in my career. I wouldn't go out for coffee with them, but they have the constitutional rights to representation.
And you take that very seriously.
Yes. You notice something that people don't understand about Dershowitz. He was asked by Trump to represent him in the second impeachment as well. Mm-hmm. He turned him down. Why do you think he turned him down?
So people should know he represented Trump in the first impeachment trial.
He represented him only in the first. And he was successful. And when Trump was impeached the second time, he asked Alan to represent him. Alan has had a lifelong policy of only representing somebody once, never twice. Why? Because he never wanted to be House counsel to the mafia. And so he early on had this position. He only represents somebody once. The mafia wants a lawyer who's an in-house counsel who represents them in all their cases. So that's the reason. And Alan never publicly explained it. I know it's a fact because I've known him from the day that we met at Harvard Law School, 1964. He was a first-year professor. I was a first-year student. We both had Brooklyn accents, and we hit it off. We've been close friends ever since.
So there's some kind of unethical line that's crossed when you continuously represent a client.
Yeah, he thought it was not so much an ethical line. You have a right to represent mafia people. But he didn't want to be House counsel. He didn't want to be, have them ask him for advice in advance of what they were doing.
Yeah.
He was willing to represent somebody once, no matter how awful. I mean, Klaus von Bülow was accused of killing his wife. These are pretty nasty people. But he didn't want to be House counsel to any of them.